So, hello everyone, welcome to this webinar. Today we will focus on the Azure Lighthouse and how it enables secure managed services for customers and service providers. And many of you already know me. So I'm Sofia from Marketing Department at interworks. I'm Marketing Director for Greece, Cyprus, and Malta. Let's jump to the agenda. So today we're gonna see the customer transition to Azure Plan, and we'll share with you some details about cost management. We will see how you can start and get the most out of Azure Lighthouse. And of course, at the end, we'll have a Q&A session. As you can see, I'm not alone. I am but accompanied by two gentlemen here. So we are glad to have here with us Jonathan Vela, a cloud solution architect at Microsoft. He's joining us from Malta. Jonathan, thank you so much for being here. And also Stavros Amniotis. He's a partner account manager at interworks. I think that now it's the time to give the control to Jonathan. No, Stavros. I think that you will start with the Azure plan and the cost management. So the floor is yours. Just take the control.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Super. I confirm that we can see your presentation, but it's not in presentation mode.
Yeah, I'll change that to presentation mode. Can you see now? Yeah.
We have to switch.
Sorry. Yeah. No. Come on. Okay. Switch again.
Perfect.
Okay.
You're all set. You may ready to start.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you are all in good health and you didn't have any issues with the COVID lately, since the pandemic is starting to get the figures a little bit better and a lot of people are vaccinated. Today we are going to see about the Azure plan and the cost management, and later Jonathan will give us more information about the Lighthouse management. What I would like just to tell you, many of these things you already know, that's why I don't have a strict presentation slides about this issue. As you already probably most of you know, there used to be the Azure subscriptions, and in the last months you have noticed that if you go in our marketplace, you will be able to purchase the Azure plan and not the old one, the Azure subscription. And let me switch a little bit to my screen and go to apps.interworks.cloud. You can order through the apps.interworks.cloud.com the Azure plan if you already have a subscription. So you go in the marketplace, you go in the Azure plan, and it's loading. As you already know, you can see the Microsoft Azure calculator also in our system and see what you are going to be charged for all the subscription. Again, this is an estimation about the charges, not here, sorry. It's Azure resource pricing here. It will load. Come on. It's not loading. Great. Great. Murphy's here. Log out. Log in. Partner demo. Come on, partner demo. Azure plan. Check charges. Come on. Log out. Login. Info. Azure plan. Azure plan. See charges.
And
Okay.
of course, let me clarify, Stavros,
Yeah.
that the window, that the chat window is available for all our attendees to raise their questions. So we do encourage you to, make any question you want. Since you are muted right now, but at the end of the webinar, we will activate your microphone so that you can share any of your questions live.
And we are facing a technical issue right now with that. It should be bring over here. In the past, it was over there. You should be able to see it. The charges of the Azure plan, and it's the same as exactly as you can see them in the Azure pricing calculator, but something went wrong and I don't know why. Anyway, you can make the order with zero pricing because it's just to open you the subscription. And since you open the subscription in the Azure plan, let me do a checkout on that. Okay, remove the rest from the basket. And area. Okay, I have a test company. And you will complete the Azure plan. If any of you, the procedure is the same as it used to be when you purchase the old Azure plan or if you purchase Office 365. The moment you will do the purchasing, what will happen that you will have a subscription created. You were going to receive the, as it used to be, the credential to go to portal.azure.com. Over here, instead of pay as you go, you're going to have a CSP subscription. And if you go inside your subscription, the experience is exactly the same as previously, but now in the cost analysis field, you will be able to see the actual information of what all your usage and all your products, the resources you have activated, how much they cost. Over here now you have new features such as the cost alert and the budget alert. You can set up your own budget alert. Sorry, let's go back. Cost alerts. And you can make your own filters. You can set up a name on that one for which billing period and what is the amount of budget you want your subscription when it reaches this budget to have a rule and say, okay, when I'm reaching 100 euros, okay, alert me for the forecast. So if I'm 90% of my budget, which is the 90 euros instead of 100, which is the limit I can set up, then give me an alert. And if I want to have a specific action, what will happen to that machine? If I shut down the machine, for example. So now you have this feature. the cost alert, you can set up your budget levels depending the resource, the group of the resources, and you can create your own filters and your own categories. And when you see the cost analysis over here, you can see the forecast, over here, the cost analysis. You can see the forecast, so you see that you are currently, and right now it's not bringing me any numbers, you will see that per service, per location, and per resource, what is exactly the consumption you have. Over here also, you have the recommendations. And all these features are features that are working now in the Azure plan. And if you have a subscription that, like now, in the one you see over here, it does not bring you any numbers, or it will give you a message that this action is not currently available, contact our support to enable the cost management feature. And over here, you will see numbers and you will be able to set up things. The great thing is now that you have the advisor recommendation also in the Azure plan. So it will analyze Azure itself, the usage of your machines or any other resource you have, and it will suggest to these resources which one of them you will suggest to convert to reservation, to reserve instances, in order to save money and make this service more cheaper for the end customer, and you will be able to offer them a service in a better pricing. Also, this information is viewable from the end customer side, which they will see their pricing using the retail prices. You as a provider, as a CSP partner, if you log in over here through the partner center, you will be able to see your cost. The prices you will see here, it will be your prices, not the end customer price. In order for the cost management to be working, it should be activated by us when you order a new Azure plan. So be aware to notify our support department to activate the cost management. And if you will require any assistance on that, in order how to see how to work with that, all the account managers are at your disposal to discuss and guide you to work with it. And it's a very nice tool because it helps you avoid any costs that will be unexpected, because you will get the alert that the consumption or the forecasted consumption is growing a lot. So you will not have the end of the month coming, receiving the invoice and says, okay, why, what happened, why I got this charge and from where I got this charge. So Sophia, that was from me. So let's get back to you and see if we have any questions or we can move forward.
Sure. Let me check if there is any question so far. No, so that we can move on to Jonathan's pitch. So Jonathan, the floor is yours. Let me just, give you the control. Here you are.
And I hope we're looking all at the right screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we see.
Oh, today I got it right. Good afternoon, everybody. For those that don't know me, I'm Jonathan, CSC for Azure Representative Infra, working in Microsoft. I'm a partner facing CSC with a customer CSC based in Malta. Hopefully there are some local folks on this call as well who are baking in the heat like me, and what I will be taking through is the journey of the why, what, and how Azure Lighthouse. But to piggyback on Stavros' discussion, where he said that, well, customers through Azure cost management and forecasting, they don't get any surprises. I can vouch that it works. I'm human, humans do err, and it saved the day for me quite a couple of times when I delivered labs and I left some resources which I shouldn't have left running. Within the next day, oops, abnormal usage detected. These are the resources, went in, deleted them, and that's it. And do remember, it's free. So let's go through Azure Lighthouse, and the way I will be presenting will be based on PowerPoint and actual Azure portal. So it will be a mixed delivery. Feel free to shoot any questions which you might have. Let's start, or let's try to start. Good. Table of contents. What are we going to cover? What's Lighthouse? The opportunity that we see out there in the global market, but numbers resonate pretty much well in our region as well. How it actually works, how you can onboard customers to Azure Lighthouse, or perhaps if you're a customer, how you can onboard some of your subscriptions, because there are customers as well that use Lighthouse, how you can monitor delegations and the activity behind these delegations. This is extremely helpful to understand how it works, even from a customer point of view, because this is all about transparency. One key question which we receive from customers is, yeah, I don't really trust my partner because I have absolutely no idea what they are doing. They can literally see whatever you guys are doing now through Azure Lighthouse. Transparency drives trust. Trust drives your profitability. It's that simple. Built-in policies and some other helpful resources that are running around on the internet. Quick one, an intro. And this is kind of the status quo and the motivators. From a customer point of view, just like us, this is practically all over the place. Lack of skilled IT resources. Cost, the optimization of costs, because everybody wants to get to the cloud as fast as possible, and perhaps it might not be the most cost-efficient project, and nobody can keep up with the rate of change. That's from a customer point of view. From a partner point of view, a pain point that I hear too many partners sharing with us, and mind you, I was a partner for 14 years, and I know the story pretty much well. Too many tool sets. Although some of the toolings might be free, the fact that you are using varied tool sets ends up in an expensive resource. These varied tool sets also result in inconsistent onboarding processes. You can't be consistent if you are using different technology from different vendors with no single management pane of glass. Last but not least, that results in inconsistent governance, not only across Azure, but beyond Azure. Because what we are going to discuss today, it applies to any customer resource, which can be projected into Azure as well. Now, the motivators or the triggers, perhaps. Meeting or accelerating compliance requirements, reduce security exposure, who doesn't want so? Control and transparency. That's from a customer point of view. From a partner, the motivator, well, I want a single pane of glass, unified comprehensive management solution for on-premises, hybrid, multi-cloud, Azure, so on and so forth. Automated CI/CD. I want to leverage infrastructure as code as much as possible. I want to leverage scripting. Why? Because to do this at scale, you need to have a certain element of automation. If you want to do automation, you need to invest a little bit in scripting. You don't need to create your own scripts. There's GitHub for that, and I will show you a couple of cool repositories where you can have an excellent head start. Last but not least, simplified credential management. Now, how Azure Lighthouse addresses all of this? And there are three pillars. One is automation. Automation allows us to do things at scale because you guys are partners. Partners must always think about scale. Whether it's one customer with one VM, or a customer with 1,000 VMs, or 10 customers with one VM each, it's still scale. It's still repetitive processes. Nothing beats automating repetitive processes. Next one up is visibility. Because I can enhance visibility, I can drive security and governance. Think about it this way. How can you manage something which you have no visibility into, or you're not even aware that it exists in the first place? You simply can't. Last but not least, build trust with your customers. This is very much important build trust with your customers by showing them that you work with privileged identity management, which gives you or grants you just enough and just-in-time access. One of the blockers for customers to work with partners is, but I don't want to allow my partner to have 24/7 access to my Azure environment. What if their identities get breached? What if something goes wrong at a partner? PIM is the answer to that. I might say this again, PIM is only required on the partner side, not on the customer side. Okay. Now, how do we enable all of this? Automation and scale. Again, CI/CD managed services. Simple pipelines, for example, in Azure DevOps or GitHub Actions. Next one up, cross-tenant multi-workspace management using both Azure Sentinel and Log Analytics, because now we can do cross-tenant management queries. Sorry, cross-tenant queries, which pre-Lighthouse, it was pretty much nearly impossible. Next one up is manage, govern, and secure. Both servers, SQL servers, and Kubernetes clusters anywhere, even running on third-party cloud providers, and project them into Azure. Now that gives you the greater visibility, security, and governance story. And because it's Lighthouse and all your actions are tracked, the customer has full transparency and control. They have full transparency in what you are doing. They have full transparency in their own environment. Because that single management pane of glass experience that you get, the customer gets it as well. Hence the native unified management solution. And for you guys, this matters quite a lot. Lighthouse is consistent. Lighthouse doesn't care on how the customer is buying Azure, or from whom they are buying Azure, or where they bought Azure, or whether it's in Azure plan or pre-Azure plan, whatever it was called. Azure Lighthouse, all it requires is literally a delegation, and it will work. It's the same experience. Just in case you just heard about Lighthouse right now on this call, Lighthouse has been with us for nearly 2 years. It was launched in July 2019 in Ignite. So it's kind of battle tested. Last one is PIM, which allows you to provide flexible, granular, secure, and extremely precise access. Customer is king. Customer is always an owner on their Azure subscription. Customer decides who gets which level of access and when. Do remember that, okay? A customer subscription always belongs to a customer. Another blocker, another pain point that we hear from customers. Why should I give owner rights to a partner when I own whatever is running in that subscription? With Azure Lighthouse, partners simply can't get owner rights. It doesn't exist. You get contributor. And the key difference between a contributor role and an owner role is one. Owner, you can change security membership. With contributor, you can't. That's the only difference. So you can do your work as usual. Azure MFA, and for the partners that are enabling Azure AD PIM, this is becoming a differentiator in the market. I've seen already some partners going to customers and telling them, hey guys, we're using privileged identity management, which means my engineers don't have constant access to your resources. They only get access to them whenever they need it. When they need access to roles beyond what we defined, there's an approval process. Customers loved it. And again, it drives the transparency and control story. Last but not least for you guys, it's a single authentication token. You don't need to create guest accounts. You don't need to create any service principals. You don't need to create any trust with your customers on. It's your own identity. It's your own identity. Just to give you a quick preview of what I mean. So if I go to my subscription filter, and this is being surfaced as an opt-in to any partner that's using Azure Lighthouse, see, I got current plus delegated directories. Of course, current is Microsoft because I work for Microsoft. But I could switch to the Contosa directory. And voila, I'm in Contosa now as well. See, I'm not even logging in, logging out. I'm not referring any access tokens, whatever. That's how delegated access management works. The minute I surfaced the other directory, I get access to the subscriptions as well. It's seamless. It's very, very seamless, I would say. And remember, this is purpose-built for service providers. Azure AD PIM is in preview. It moved to a public preview. Remember what it does: just enough access and just-in-time access. Use Azure MFA. I think partners now are forced to use MFA. Fully auditable for your customers. The Azure AD license, because it requires an Azure AD P2 license, is only required on the service provider tenant. If you are a partner with some competencies, most probably you're eligible to use them. Customer approval is required only once when they are allowing the delegation. Like I said, customers have full-blown visibility that you guys are using both PIM and MFA. That drives the trust story up and definitely supports our APIs and the portal experience. So it will not inhibit in any way or shape or form the way you work. Now, do remember that identity is the cornerstone of security. If you get identity done right, you can take your game to the next level vis-a-vis security. But if you get identity done wrong, whatever you do for security, it's kind of pretty much useless. And one cool starting point is using Sentinel, which is a cloud-native SIEM, okay, and integrated with Azure Lighthouse. Now, do remember that Azure Sentinel has a free tier, and that free tier says the following. So let me bring up the Azure Sentinel pricing FAQ. And if I go down to the bottom of the FAQ, which is somewhere around here, there's this. What data can I ingest at no cost in Azure Sentinel? Azure Activity Logs, and Office 365 logs, and Azure Security Center logs. So although I'm saying I'm recommending that you use Sentinel, it doesn't mean that anyone out there is going to incur any additional cost. But think about the value which you can give to your customer. Now you're getting more visibility around the identities and the attack vectors on these identities. This data is already there in Azure, in any case, because activity log is on by default. How am I going to take actions with minimal effort and minimal cost? Sentinel is a great starting point. And do remember that whatever you do in Sentinel will sit in your management tenant. You don't need to deploy any scripts and workbooks and playbooks in any customer's environments. Everything sits in the service provider's tenant, which means you are going to protect your IP. Whatever you develop is going to sit in your tenant. This also applies to Azure Monitor, by the way, and Azure Automation. Now, how can we do this at scale, including on-premises, multi-cloud, and edge? Azure Arc. You can have a chat with a customer. Hey, Mr. Customer, what if we onboard your on-premises servers, VMs, to Azure Arc? First question that you might ask, what's the cost of that? Nada, zero, nothing. What do you get in return? Visibility. You know where these servers are, what they are doing, what their health status are. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, deploy Azure Policy. If you want to extend it even further, deploy, for example, Azure Defender, so on and so forth. The idea is, how can I adopt the cloud practices which I have built internally as a partner for Azure and replicate these practices on premises and beyond? Think about it this way. If I can deploy the Arc agent, I can project it into Azure. That service, that Kubernetes cluster, and that VM can be running on premises, data center, colo, Google Cloud, AWS, so on and so forth. And then you project it into Azure. And then you manage it. Another scenario, how do we leverage Lighthouse to do migrations at scale? So right now, without Lighthouse, if you're running an Azure Migrate project, even the assessment part, the only way for you to get access to that project is by somehow gaining access to a customer subscription. But now with Azure Lighthouse, It's totally different. Because from your management tenant, you can get access to all Azure Migrate projects across all customer tenants and across all these subscriptions associated with customer tenants. The rest doesn't change, okay? The rest doesn't change the way it works. But now you get full-blown visibility. Before it was a customer by customer basis. Now you can do this at scale. Pricing, remember, Lighthouse is free. There's no cost, there's no catch, nothing. Lighthouse is free. And there are no plans to change it. Opportunity, I'm not going to spend time on this. It's huge. It keeps on growing. And for the Greeks on this call, you might understand that it will grow exponentially once we switch on our Azure Greece region. So it will only accelerate. Be ready. Lighthouse can enable and accelerate your readiness. Now, how do we manage multiple tenants? From an enterprise point of view, same story as you guys are going to do it. It's literally the same story. It's literally the same story for customers, but they must define their own management tenant. Now, what is your immediate opportunity? Like this is there as of yesterday. One, reduction in administration time and rapid service deployment. You can onboard customers in 2-3 clicks. With marketplace, the marketplace offer might take you, I don't know, the worst I heard is about 4 hours if you run into some issues. If you are going to onboard your customers with the marketplace offer, it's just a couple of clicks. When you onboard customers using the marketplace offer, PAL is automated, so you get recognition immediately. With ARM templates, and this is what an ARM template might look like, you can grab a copy of all these code from the GitHub repository for Azure Lighthouse. With an ARM template, the PAL process is still manual. Bear in mind that. And for the marketplace offer, for customers, it's self-service. Because what they do is they pick the partner of choice and they just onboard their subscription. And the result is something similar to this. So for example, here I have a name of a service provider and my delegations, which is just at a resource group level, because that's what I decided to do. You stand out from the crowd because not everyone is yet using Azure Lighthouse, unfortunately, and because Azure Lighthouse makes it much more easier for customers to work with you. Well, you get the benefit of having access to incremental revenues. I mean, let's be frank, none of us is running a charity. We need to find meaningful but valuable ways how to generate more business that's also beneficial to our customer, okay? Because at the end of the day, we are trusted advisors. We don't sell technology for the sake of technology, but honestly, because we are somehow helping the customer address a business challenge. From a customer story point of view, and this is very relevant because this is what you should know about Lighthouse so that you can sell your story to your customer. First and foremost, customer is always in control. They add or remove the amount of scope in their environment that they want to give you access to. They decide who gets access. They decide when they want to remove access. Remember, an Azure environment always belongs to the customer. It doesn't belong to Microsoft. It doesn't belong to the partner. It always belongs to the customer. Customer is king. They stay secure, in particular with PIM. That's why there's just-in-time access. Be informed. Be informed. They can ensure that data is always secure. They can monitor for data exfiltration if they want to. And visibility into actions is pretty much easy to do, especially if you educate your customers. Because if you go to the activity log, so let me jump into quickly my Azure subscription and bring up Azure activity logs. Or let me try and do that. Yep. This is what customers can see. And there's a change history, change property, the type, category, old value, no value, who's done it, so on and so forth. It's really granular. And this is enabled by default. In my case, there haven't been many actions in my subscription today. I haven't been doing anything, but this is what they say. See, transparency drives trust. Let's see, just a sec. Now, how it works. First and foremost, delegated resource management is the foundation. It's the fabric which is powering all of this. That fabric is based on literally two things. The Azure Resource Manager. How do you manage Azure? With the Azure Resource Manager. And identity, because the scope is based on identity. And that identity, we highly recommend that you always work with groups. Once you onboard, you fire up or you light up what we call these cross-tenant experiences, which are directly integrated into Azure and also with some third-party services. I'm not going to read it because there's loads. You can simply go to the Azure Lighthouse documentation, and it's highlighted here. It's a never-ending list which constantly gets updated, and these are kind of all the scenarios which you can enable out of the box with Azure Lighthouse. Okay, and as a partner, it allows you to use the tooling of your own choice. Okay, remember that. Tooling of your own choice. Marketplace, templates, APIs, portals, SDKs, CLIs, and any other third-party service provisioning tool which you might be using. It's based on ARM, right? Okay, this wasn't meant to look like this, but anyways, what the service provider can do when you are working with Lighthouse is perform CRUD. Create, read, update, delete operations at scope, at scale, depending where the customer is giving you access. Okay, so that's how it works. And that's the management plane. And the management plane supports granularly each and every service provider in Azure. It's very, very granular. So if I want to say, okay, so Jonathan has 1,000 resources in one resource group, but I want to give Jonathan access only to a particular storage account. That's the delegation. That's the delegation that I can build for Jonathan as a customer, because delegations are done by customer. You publish your offer, okay? You educate customers how they can onboard their Azure environment into your management service, into your managed service offer. But customer, like I said, is king. They decide what they are going to delegate to you versus not. Something else which works with pretty much with Lighthouse. This is a before and after story. Before Lighthouse, if I want to do scripting, perhaps scripts must reside on the customer tenant. With Azure Lighthouse, everything moves to your tenant. Just by the fact that everything is in your management tenant, you protect your own IP. You protect your own IP. Too many times I've heard from partners, but John, what if I create these scripts, store them in the customer's automation account or in a blob which belongs to a customer, then one of my competitors starts working with this customer, they need for some odd reason access to their automation account, which means then they get access to my scripts and whatever work I invested in my scripting. Now my other competitor has it for free. Because remember, customer can always give access to whoever they want. With this, with Azure Lighthouse, the story simply doesn't exist. Why? Because these scripts exist only in your environment. Remember that. How onboarding works. Plenty of options, and expect a couple of more to be announced in Ignite, which is a couple of weeks ago, but let's focus on code. And I will focus primarily on ARM templates, okay? And this is the partner experience. First and foremost, a user with the owner role for the subscription being onboarded, or which contains the resource groups being onboarded, must deploy the necessary resources. In this case, that necessary resource is an ARM template. With CSP subscriptions, which is kind of the majority of you on this call, if not all of you, any user that's assigned the admin agent role can perform the deployment. Like I said, the deployment, if I want to deploy it using code, is something similar to this deployment script. Where did I get this? GitHub. There's all the templates here. Don't think that I've written any of my code. I simply went in here and forked literally the repository. For you guys, for partners, please RTFM, please read the manual. Because the deploy to Azure button, you need to update it to reflect your management tenant. And what I recommend for all partners is make this repository yours. Fork it, but when you fork it, follow these instructions so that the deploy to Azure button is pointing to your management tenant. Otherwise, nothing will work. And trust me, the partners that didn't bother to read this part, okay, it costed them easily 6 hours of troubleshooting. And like when they call me, hey guys, but did you follow the instructions on how to update the links? Now, why should we do that? 15 minutes, up and running, done and dusted. Lessons learned. Yeah, we just seen that. Option number 2, which is also, I would say, right now, the hero option. Commercial marketplace. The only challenge with the commercial marketplace, if I can call it a challenge, is that you require a competency of silver or gold. And this is like a chicken and egg situation. Which comes first? If I'm new as an MSP to Azure, you won't have a silver competency. So in that case, that's why we have ARM templates. But if you are a partner with a competency in cloud platform, this would be my hero offer, because this automates partner admin link as well. Okay, and there's the full-blown guidance over here. It's really click the right boxes and off you go. It's not that complex. Option number 3, which is pretty much new and not yet available right now to anyone except some internal subscriptions at Microsoft, is you deploy an ARM template directly from the Azure portal. Offer details in description, the authorizations. Authorization, it's really simple. You create Azure AD groups in your Azure AD tenant. That's how you should work. These groups should reflect roles and give them access types. And where you see eligible and permanent, that's PIM in action. One is PIM eligible, and the other one has permanent access together with PIM. And you build your own authorizations. For ARM templates, if you are new to ARM and you want to go in more granular for authorization, this can be a very, very good starting. This can be a very easy starting point. Not good. It is good, but it's easy as well. Okay. Expect this to surface, I think, around end of July, if I am not mistaken. Now, how do we monitor delegations and activity? And there's a small gotcha here. This is what it looks like in real life, and you want to monitor delegations. Because if you are going to publish a marketplace offer so that customers can onboard their own subscriptions, i.e. self-service model, and that's how you want to do it at scale, unless you are going to monitor delegations, you'll never get to know which subscriptions are now under your management remit. So definitely you need to enable this part in Azure. Okay, this is how you monitor. You need to monitor activity log. But look, it says that you need to monitor directory logs. If I go to my Azure subscription, and I think it's one of these, here it is, activity log, I got nada. You need permission to view directory logs. This is how you enable it. But word of caution, when you are going to enable, okay, when you are going to enable access, Although it's read-only, it requires access to the entire root management group. So you will end up, okay, with read writes across your entire management tenant. Remember, this applies to you, not to your customers. Okay, so if you want particular users, particular employees within your organization to be able to monitor delegations, you need to assign them read privileges to your AAD tenant. It's just a read permission. Otherwise, they can't monitor delegations. Because you can monitor delegations, there are a couple of scripts, okay, which will shoot, which will fire, sorry, which will trigger a logica, which will send you an email to let you know that, hey guys, these new tenants have been onboarded under our Lighthouse offer. And then it's up to you what to do next. It should be part and parcel of your onboarding process. Now there are partners and there are partners, okay? It's up to you. When you onboard a customer, what happens next? You need to define that. It's really important. Some partners simply deploy monitoring. We simply want to figure out what's happening in the customer's environment. Some other partners, they trigger a CI/CD pipeline where they deploy Azure policies in audit mode only. Audit mode means let me learn about the customer's environment vis-a-vis their best practices. There's a lot of scenarios which you can enable out of the box without costing you a single cent, but they can be extremely meaningful to your customers. The customer experience. How can I view whatever my partner is doing? This is where I can view delegations as a customer, the managed service offer, the service provider, the role assignments. So if I go to my subscription, it's here. The offer, the service provider, the delegation. If I want to increase the scope of my delegation as a customer to a partner, I can either delegate subscriptions. In my case, remember, you must be an owner, and I'm only an owner on this particular subscription. Or I can be more granular and go to resource groups. And let's say that I want to do delegate resources here. Okay, check, delegate. And this is then where I can monitor the rest of the delegations. Of course, I can be more granular on what kind of delegation. So if I look here, I just went with the default. ILCA KSRG, you get contributor. But if I want to, I can work a little bit with role assignments. Okay. And role assignments are also based on how you are going to construct your offer. In my case, I went pretty much an easy approach. And as you can see, it's pretty much instantaneous. How do we delegate management groups? So the assumption is that a modern customer has at minimum 2 subscriptions nowadays in Azure. A subscription for prod and a subscription for anything which is deemed as non-prod. Does it mean that if I have 2 subscriptions as a customer is double the overhead vis-a-vis management? No, that's why we have the concept of management groups. Nowadays, modern customers, if I had to bring up the trail research reference implementation, and mind what you guys are going to see right now on my screen, this is like 10 minutes of work to deploy. It's another environment, okay? It's like the foundation of Azure. This is terribly easy to deploy, okay? Even if you are starting new to partner, as long as you understand the ramifications of it. But a traditional customer would have at minimum 2 subscriptions. How do we manage multiple subscriptions while minimizing effort, admin effort? Management groups. Now, if I am an MSP, how can I help a customer that has perhaps 10 subscriptions or 2 subscriptions, whatever the number, to streamline onboarding? Well, you deploy an Azure policy to deploy Lighthouse at management group level. Whatever is underneath that management group, okay, they get onboarded. How can I deploy policies at scale? At scale being across multiple customer subscriptions. Here it is. Get your MSP tenant, get the subscriptions under the MSP tenant, get the managed subscriptions by searching the Azure graph, query it, deploy it. And note that the template URI for this particular policy stored in a GitHub repo. This GitHub repo can be your own repository. How do you validate? Again, storage account, but this is the entire policy, how you construct it. Remember, everything is fully well documented in the GitHub repository. We're not asking any one of you, okay, to create your own script. It's all here, and it's constantly updating. And there's quite a few of them. There's quite a few, and this is the one which we were talking right now. Policy delegate management groups. Deploy Lighthouse if not exists management group. And this is the parameter file. It's simple. This will take you like 5 minutes of work to do it, and it's a fire and forget. Remember, cost of Azure policy for Azure environment is again nada, zero. So far, whatever I have shown you has zero cost to you and is zero cost to customers as well. How do we update the delegations? Okay. Read the manual, read our recommendations, stick to it. We recommend assigning the managed services registration assignment delete role. I know it's a bit of a mouthful when onboarding a customer. So the managing tenant users can update and remove the delegation if needed. Okay. Otherwise, some other changes, if I follow the link, can take way much longer, okay, until they trickle down to a customer's environment. Remember that, okay? Because if you are changing the management tenant, perhaps you got it wrong, you must create a new ARM template, which means you need to redeploy. Make sure that you work on authorizations. Nothing, it's not an end of the world scenario, far from that, but of course it gets a little bit trickier. Please do read the guidance, and guidance is constantly being updated. And when in doubt, reach out to Interworks and they will be more than happy to help you. Okay, built-in policies. For example, how can customers take control of an environment? There's a policy which says policy allows certain tenant IDs. Restrict which tenants or which managed service providers or which partners people within my team as a customer can delegate to. And of course, I want to audit delegations. Create an alert in your activity log. Help customers create these kind of rules and policies. This is what drives transparency. This is what gives the comfort to a customer to remember that they are in control. Control, transparency equals trust and working with partners. Now, some policies can do a deploy if not exist, for example, or some scripts, okay, will allow you to deploy resources in a customer's environment. How can I do it? I need to project myself. Ideally, you work with managed identities and you follow the approach of a headless identity. A system assigned managed identity is an identity which follows the life cycle of a resource in Azure. So if I create a VM and I assign that VM, or if I create together with that VM a system assigned identity, so that that VM perhaps can access, I don't know, Key Vault to retrieve certificates. If I delete that VM, the identity is deleted. A user assigned identity is an identity which is created in the tenant of the customer or in my tenant, and follows the life cycle of the tenant rather than the resource. Now, why do we use assigned managed identities? Well, manage credentials without needing to hard secrets. That's the first thing. Headless authentication. So it's secure communication. Configure your ARM templates to assign roles to managed identities in customer tenant. For example, if I want to deploy in a customer's environment, blueprints. That's a very common scenario. Think about it this way. Configure the same story in the marketplace offer. In the marketplace offer, it's just a tick box, as you can see over here. And you can find it under role, select user access administrator, the UAA, that's in short, okay? And under assignable roles, select the assignable role, which is this tick box over there. Pretty much easy. Common scenarios: deploy a policy that can be remediated to customer scopes, because it's a deploy if not exist. And I can only deploy or modify resources in Azure, okay, if I am authenticated. And the most secure way to do so is by using managed identities. And here is the scenario. The PIM group, and the assumption is that partners are enabling PIM. Remember, you have loads of yours of responsibility. Protect your own identities. Please do so. Here's UAA. Remember UAA? User Access Administrator, with assignable roles for contributor or a resource policy contributor if we want to be more granular, and log analytics contributor. We are deploying a policy which says deploy the dependency agent for Windows or Linux VM. So it's a deploy if not exist. That's the action of the policy, which means we need to create a remediation task. With that remediation task, there's an association of an identity. Where you can find more information on Azure Lighthouse? Well, I did not really update this because now in Microsoft Learn, there's also a hands-on lab for Azure Lighthouse. My bad. Actually, let's do it right now. And if I search on here for Lighthouse, yep, this is all the labs available to you guys. It's literally the A to Z of what I took you through, including the onboarding of a customer. Now, what about some of the most common cross-tenant management experiences? And this is what I want to show you, and this is how I will be closing my presentation to you guys. This is Azure Monitor, okay? So Azure Monitor is anything that's projected in Azure can be monitored. One of the most common dashboards, we call them workbooks, is the following. Azure Security Center Unified Built-in Vulnerability Scanner. Hey, Mr. Partner, tell me what, from a security point of view, my entire IT estate looks like, whether it's a shit show or whether I really know my own stuff when it comes to security. This is not something which I built. I am monitoring compute resources sitting in Azure, and I am monitoring sitting resources which are sitting way out of Azure. As you can see, it's 224 issues across 25 different servers. And what I'm doing is cross-tenant queries, because what I've done is literally monitor and gather and visualize whatever is in these subscriptions. You might ask, yeah, but how did you build this? Let me show you a nifty trick. When you go to Azure Monitor, workbooks, right there on the top, it says, look, community Git repo. Let's go again to GitHub. And what I do is I go through the repository. There's plenty upon plenty upon plenty of scenario stuff, so on and so forth in here. pick the workbook which makes sense to me. So for example, I don't know, disk space report with a trend. Switch to raw mode, Control A, Control C. Go to my Azure Monitor dashboard again. Make sure no typing mistakes like I've done. Workbooks, new. There's the advanced edit button, which is here. Make sure that it's either a gallery template or an ARM template. I think it's an ARM template, what I copied. Save it, and you're done. Just apply. There you go. And I just created a cross-tenant, okay, workbook so that I can monitor disk usage across all of my customer servers, whether they are running in Azure or anywhere else, because I have been onboarded in Azure Arc. It took me what, 2-3 seconds? It's all there. It's all on GitHub. Okay, leverage the work of others. There's nothing to be ashamed of copying and pasting this code. That's why we build it, so that you guys can actually use it and can be more valuable to your customers. Same story with Azure Policy, because Azure Policy at the end of the day is driven by code. How can I monitor my customers' compliance? Same story. There's a compliance dashboard. Simply filter it to the environments which you have access to. Here's the customer subscriptions. Subscriptions under the Microsoft tenant and under the other tenants in Microsoft. In controls, sorry. Select, and that's it, that's done. It's simple. It's really simple. Build a story around it. And remember, like I said, majority of the stuff which I showed you is free, because Arc, when you are going to ingest data into log analytics, you need to pay for that data. Arc by itself is free. So when I onboard a resource in Arc, I still have like a couple of more minutes, Sophia, or am I over time? I lost time.
Let's say just 1 to 2 minutes, because we're running out of time.
I'll just do the following just to show the difference between for Arc. So when you onboard a resource in Arc, a server in Arc, the free version of Arc, what it does, it gives you the following, right? Insights about the workload, which operating system, where it's located, perhaps you want to do RBAC, so on and so forth. Whatever you see here is all billable, On average, an Azure Arc enabled VM can retire like 20 euro, 15 to 20 euros per month. That's the average for Azure Arc resources. If you don't want to onboard Arc resources into update management logs, so on and so forth, it's free and it will still give you full-blown visibility. With this, I wrap it up. Interworks will be sharing with you the PowerPoint presentation, which you've seen on my screen, and I thank you for your time. Screen is back yours, Sophia.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jonathan. It was very insightful and pretty much, intuitive. Let me just go back to my screen. I will go to the questions straightforward. One of our attendees asked about if he needs to associate or add, let's say, his MPN ID to the Azure subscription.
Okay, and so if you are onboarding a customer's Azure subscription using the Partner Center, offer the marketplace, no. If you are going via ARM templates, yes.
Okay, super. And also, what licenses are required to activate the privileged identity management in Azure Active Directory?
It's Azure AD Plan 2, P2 in short, and it's only required to be enabled on the partner side. Customer doesn't need anything because you are doing it on yourself. okay, for yourself. And do remember that PIM actions are visible to the customer as well, so you can differentiate yourself.
Okay, thank you. And one last question, it's about can Azure Lighthouse be used by resellers that are not Azure managed service providers?
Trick one. Okay, so that's a look. What is a managed service provider? For me, somebody that's not just selling Azure, because otherwise that's a transactional partner, but someone that's helping a partner, a customer, leverage Azure. Okay, so now you could offer a managed, you could say that I have a managed service where I am kind of monitoring your own environment. In order to do so, you need to build a managed service, either marketplace offer or ARM template using Lighthouse. It's up to you to define it. So essentially the answer in short is you should all be managed service providers, because partners realistically, I mean, let's be frank, you're not going to make your money from Azure itself. Margins are what they are, incentives are what they are, but you make your money on your skill set. That's how you make your money. So you should be an MSP in the first place.
A good question and a good answer, I think. So since, as I said before, we're running out of time, we may gather any other questions you have through this email you can see on your screen. So don't hesitate to share any question at the cloud/catalog@interworks.cloud. Of course, we will take care of anything and we will answer to you. And also keep in mind, as usual, so keep in mind that the webinar is being recorded, so you will receive the recording within the in the upcoming days. Jonathan, what can I say? It was amazing. And Stavros, thank you both. And of course, special thanks to all of our attendees. I think it's time to say goodbye to all of you. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank
evening.
you both. Have a great day. Cheers.
Have a great day. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.